Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the APF Podcast Series, the Next Gen edition. And today I have with me an amazing next gener who has been part of the APF network for a bit now,
Yeah,
Matt Ilube.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for
Welcome.
having me.
And I would like to, before I go on, I just want to let you know that Matt is not just the next gener. He's also the account director at WPP Media and a trustee on the board of Africa Gifted Foundation. Isn't that amazing?
It's tough doing a couple of different jobs at my age, yeah.
I know, and you have a diverse background in media, in
Yeah,
philanthropy, in rugby. You've
yeah,
represented Nigeria.
indeed, yeah.
Please tell us how your experiences have shaped you to be the person you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess starting off, growing up, I've always been interested in sport, philanthropy, working in the business world. I come from a family that it's very there was a lot of pressure put on me to really succeed growing up, but I think it's really helped me grow as into the person that I am today. Always been interested in the world of business and how companies work and how, from my side of things in the marketing space, how to really promote companies and how actually a brand as big as, let's say, a Tesco in the UK actually speaks to its customers. Everyone knows who they are, everyone shops there, but how they really want to showcase that. And I think I brought that into the philanthropy space with the African Gifted Foundation, but then also through my rugby work and playing for Nigeria internationally. We're one of the small beasts in the world of rugby. So what I'm trying to showcase is that we're a sleeping giant in that space, and I think how I've translated my marketing experience into the sporting world and also philanthropy has really been a massive impact in my life with showcasing all of that.
Wow, amazing. That is a note to self to follow rugby some more.
Yeah,
Right. And I think I'd like to hear more about Africa Gifted
yeah,
Foundation. You have volunteered there for about 10 years now.
yeah,
That's a long time, right? In today's world where
yeah,
everyone is, you have fleeting passions.
yeah.
Tell us more about how you made that long-term commitment and how it's been working with the foundation or supporting or volunteering at the foundation over these years.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Africa Gifted Foundation was founded in 2010 by my father. So at the start, for the first 5, 6 years, it was what we were doing. It was hosting summer schools for students, gifted and talented students from all across the continent in Africa. We hosted our first one in Kampala in Uganda, where we had about 30 students from 12 countries from around the continent. And what they did was had workshops with professors from UK universities, from teachers from schools all over the continent, and really interesting experiences going to the Ugandan Stock Exchange and having meetings with Sarnaco, the trading firm. And that really shaped the idea of we need to do more for students in Africa, young students. So in 2016, we opened the African Science Academy, which is the first all-girls, fully maths and science STEM school in the continent and potentially even the world. It's the most incredible school. So what these girls do is they come to our school on full scholarships. They don't have to worry about a single penny of anything in education. They do maths, further maths, and physics A level in a period that is only 11 months. So compared to the standard 2 years that you do in the UK or around the world, they do it in just 11 months, which is absolutely incredible. From the summer school period, I was volunteering there. So I was very much in the operations teams, just making sure everyone knew what they were doing, getting to places. But then since we've opened the school, I've sort of transitioned into a more pastoral role in terms of helping the schools, strategy and direction. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, I joined the board of the African Gifted Foundation, which with our flagship school, the African Science Academy, really showcased what we can actually do to really grow the school and grow the foundation to really educate girls from the ages of 16 up to 21 and send them off to universities on scholarships all around the world, which is it's been one of the best things that I've ever done in my life, and I am so proud of everyone that's worked in the space. Like, we've unlocked £12 million worth of scholarship value for girls going to universities all around the world. So we've had girls go to Edinburgh, we've had girls go to Warwick University in the UK, Columbia, NYU Abu Dhabi. We've had girls go to universities in South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong. And then we've also got scholarships as part of the AGF scholarship program, which means that every single girl that comes to our school has access to a university in Africa. So we usually send about 95% of our students to universities, all on full scholarships, whether that's through us as the African Gifted Foundation funding them, or on fully funded scholarships all around the world. So it's just
Wow.
absolutely incredible.
I wasn't expecting that response. It is so impressive what you have done. And, just hearing about the work with the girls and STEM, especially
Yeah.
in STEM, I think it's the perfect segue for my next question. And I was going to begin to ask you about the impacts of what you have done, but I think you've spoken quite a bit about that. And please feel free to share some more. But what I would want to ask you at this point is, I would say your work has given you sort of a front row seat
Yes.
into the young people of Africa and how Africa is shaping. What do you see, given your experience and what you have done with the foundation? What do you see as areas we should double down on, we should focus more on to ensure that we are harnessing the potential of young people in Africa?
Absolutely. So, from slightly selfishly, I'm going to talk about STEM, because I think that's where girls in Africa, we're really currently falling behind compared to the rest of the world. I can't remember the stat right off the top of my head, but I know that the level of women in STEM fields in Africa is so far behind every other continent across the world. What we're doing at the African Science Academy is really trying to harness that and really trying to have change makers and trailblazers to come into that industry and really change the world and the continent. So one thing that we've always thought about at the African Science Academy is all around the theory of chaos, so chaos theory. So one small change in a certain field can create a tornado somewhere else.
Absolutely.
And what we always say to the girls is, you guys are all butterflies. We want you to go flap your wings and create tornadoes all around the world, all around Africa. And the fact that we're focused on STEM, we're fully 100% STEM, shows that we've got the opportunity. There's a massive growth opportunity for that within Africa. So what I want to see is our girls coming through our school, going off to universities, whether that's in Africa or all around the world, come back to the continent and really be those change makers and really showcase the excellence that we've got in the continent, whether that's from Northern Africa, Southern Africa, East or West. There is some of the most unbelievable talent out there, and we really want to harness that. And we think that the next gen coming through our school and also other institutions can really be those people in the world coming up in the next couple of years.
Fantastic. Do you have room at AGF for me?
Well, actually,
Because I would love to serve or make some kind of contribution. It is so amazing what you're doing. And I just I'm feeling the energy, and not just the energy, the deep interest and commitment that you have is shining through in everything that you say. And I want to ask you a bit more about yourself. You've lived and worked across different continents, and I'm so proud that you represented Nigeria in rugby. How have your experiences, in media, in philanthropy, in in sports, which you began to speak about at the beginning, how have you blended all of this, and how has your experience in sports influenced your philanthropic work?
It's a brilliant, really, really good question. I think I'll start with the living across different continents. I think I've lived in both the UK and in Australia as well. So you really get to see a different side of the world. So you get people that especially living in London, you see all sorts of people coming here, and that is one of the best things about living in this city. You've got so many different experiences, so many people to tap into, so many different cultures that you can experience. But that's also the same in Sydney and Australia. There's so many different opportunities and cultures that are really interesting that you can learn a lot of. So I've always found that speaking to people in different countries when I go traveling, and being able to understand their experiences and try and take a little bit of every single person with me as I go forward, I think is always really, really key for me. But sport is one of my biggest passions, and obviously playing for the Nigerian national team has allowed me to travel the world and play against other countries, which has been one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. I think when you're playing against countries such as South Africa or Kenya or
Yeah.
Uganda, you you can see the tenacity of those players, and you can really understand where they've come from when when you're chatting to them after and enjoying a drink in the bar after a really hard game of rugby. It's You get to learn a lot about them, and I think what you can see is that they're no different to us. They've
Absolutely.
got their own experiences, their own culture, but within sport and especially rugby, everyone is the same. So you get on really, really well, and you can really find that you learn a lot off them. I think from a philanthropic point of view within sport as well, I think there is it's a really interesting space, and I know in Africa and African sports there is a massive opportunity to really grow different sports, because sport is the one equalizer across the world.
Absolutely.
So you can have a player in South Africa growing up from a rugby team, but also a player growing up in the UK in the rugby team. They they could have completely different backgrounds, but when they get onto the rugby pitch, they're one and the same. So it's always a really interesting space that you can see there. And I think where, from a wider point of view, sport is a really good opportunity to change the continent of Africa. There's so many different stories from across the continent of players coming in from different backgrounds, from potentially having nothing, and then sport is the way that they've really transcended that space and transcended their previous experience. And there is such a big opportunity there to grow different sports. It doesn't need to always just be football, which obviously is the main sport in
Yeah.
across the continent. And but there's so many different opportunities. I'm trying to grow rugby in Nigeria. Nigeria is such a sleeping giant within the rugby space, and if you even got a tenth of the people that went over to football to play rugby in
Yeah.
Nigeria, oh, we would be dominating the world of rugby altogether. And I would be so happy to give up my position in the team to have a young Nigerian come through and take over the world. So I think that's a really, really interesting space and such an interesting experience. But you get to see within sport and within the different cultures that I've experienced, the passion that people have for their countries, for their cultures, all flowing through them. And it's such an amazing thing to see.
Just pausing to ask myself, how do you manage all of these? You have a full-time job,
Yeah.
and you're still playing professionally,
Yeah.
and you're supporting the work of AGF, and then you're developing a team in Nigeria. This is a lot to put in your schedule. How are you managing that?
Oh, it is tough at times. It's really, really tough. But I think when you're passionate about something, you always make the time to do it. So, from a rugby and philanthropy point of view, it's all about making the time alongside my full-time job. So if I have to go to the gym or train early in the morning or late at night, I'll do it. If it means that I have to skip a meeting at work to join an AGF board call, I'll absolutely do it. But it's all about finding the time in the day to achieve everything that is possible. And if you're passionate about something, you'll be able to do it.
Great. Um, I I'm just also wondering, when you're not doing all of this, what are you doing? Like, what do you do for fun? Where do you relax?
So a couple of the things I love to do to relax, I love being by myself. So just going for a long walk, putting on a podcast, and just spending an hour or two just walking, seeing how many steps I can do. I've got an interesting game with one of my friends on one of the apps where we try and beat each other on our step count. So being able to go on those walks are really handy to help beat him. But yeah, I absolutely love just listening to a podcast, going to the cinema, being around my friends and family. I try and see my family every single weekend. So I loved having that connection with them and hanging out with them. Even this weekend, my sister's over from New York, so I'm really excited to see her and just be around them. So yeah, that's what calms me down, what keeps me humble, and what relaxes me.
You have a really rich, full life and experience, and I think that's noteworthy. As we close, I want to talk about. It's funny because I was going to say I want to talk about legacy, but you're so young. It's not too early to start thinking about the mark we want to make in the world, and you're already doing so much. But what do you want to be remembered by or for? How, this, you mentioned that you speak to the girls about, going out there, being a butterfly and fluttering their wings. What ripple do you want your butterfly wings to leave in the world?
I want them to have world-changing legacy, and that as a result of that, that will be my legacy and my family's legacy. I think what I can imagine seeing in 20 years' time is one of the girls that have come through our school, come through one of our programs, being the president of an African country, whatever country they come from. For example, we've had one of our girls who was from Togo. She couldn't speak English when she joined our school, as Togo is a French-speaking country.
Country, yes.
So our programs are completely in English. There is no deviation from that. So the fact that she came to our school, learned English and became completely fluent, and then 11 months later left our school with 3 A stars in her A-levels is one of the biggest success stories I've ever seen in my life. And I think I can so imagine someone like that going back to Togo in 10, 20, 30 years' time and leading that country, and then being able to represent not just her country, but her ASA alumni sisters in that space. And that is the legacy that I want to leave. And I think it's one that us as an organization is really, really focused on. We know that the alumni network, as we grow, we want to be able to have educated 1,000 students by the time it's 2030. So you can just imagine 1,000 butterflies out there in the world, all flapping their wings, all making changes, however small. Further down the line, who knows what they'll be. And that is the thing that excites me the most, and the thing that I want to leave my legacy as I get older.
Matt, you are such a fan of APF, and we love you as much as you love us. And last year, you were part of the inaugural Next Gen meeting that we had in London.
Yeah.
What was your impression about that? Meeting people that you hadn't, I believe most of them you were meeting for the first time. How did that play out, and what did you do as a result of being in that meeting?
So yeah, that meeting was incredible. It was so interesting meeting people from different backgrounds, different industries, and people who have also got a passion for philanthropy in Africa. So it was the best thing about that meeting was the round table that we had over dinner. I got to hear about other people's experiences, how they want to give back to their community, and what they're already doing, and that was fascinating to hear. One of the things that me personally that we did at the African and Gifted Foundation is that off the back of that, and I thought the idea was so good that I kind of stole the idea a bit and hosted a similar sort of event for the African Gifted Foundation. So we hosted an under 35s quote unquote event to showcase the African Gifted Foundation to younger people in various different organizations. And that also coming from the dinner that we had into that, it just showcased that there's such a power in the next gen, and there's such a power in people that don't all think of philanthropy as just financial giving. There are so many other ways of giving that people don't even realize that they could do.
Absolutely.
And what we wanted to show with our event, and what you showed with your event, was all the different ways of giving that you can do in any sort of industry, whether that's giving time, giving advice, showcasing your organization, opening up opportunities for people. It was an incredible event, and I'm so excited that it happened and looking forward to the next one tomorrow.
Perfect way to end this conversation.
Thank you very much.
Matt, you are a true shining light in Africa and would be a better continent with more of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I think what you guys do at the APF is amazing. We've got a really good opportunity to grow the next gen leadership, and
Absolutely.
it started with you guys, and I think I'm only looking forward to seeing how that grows and fruitions into the future. So I'm so excited for everything that you guys are doing, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, my name is Mosun Layode, and this is the APF Podcast Series Next Gen Special.
Hi, my name is Matthew Ilube, and this is the APF Podcast Series Next Gen Special.